Hello and welcome again to Vegan Freak Radio. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Bob.
And we're here once again to share our vegan stories and talk about veganism and people we like and things we do and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like last week, we're going to begin this show with a couple shout-outs. The first one is we want to give a shout-out to Lay's over at Addict Beats. This isn't necessarily a vegan podcast, but it's a podcast done by a vegan, so does that count?
Sure.
Okay, that counts. We were really into his old school show last week. We listened to that while we were making some dinner, and man, the show one is really kicking ass. It's excellent, excellent. I felt like I was back in high school.
Yeah, it was really good. It was perfect dinner for perfect music for making dinner.
It's really good music for making dinner. So thanks for that. And the other shows have been really good too. Very eclectic, and it's exposed us to some new and very interesting music out there. So we want to thank Lace for doing Addict Beats. While we were listening to his old school show, we were cooking. What were we cooking?
We're cooking Szechuan Kung Pao chicken. Chicken, of course, in quotes.
Of course.
It was actually seitan. From a cookbook we bought called Authentic Chinese Cuisine for the Contemporary Kitchen, which is entirely vegan Chinese, because we've been kind of addicted to Chinese food lately, and we've been making it just about 4 or 5 days out of the week. It's been really sad because we've eaten nothing but recipes out of this book. So
yeah, it has been pretty sad. But you know, what can we do? We're addicted. So it was cool to make this kind of fake chicken stuff and listen to the old school stuff and kind of hook up a vegan meal while listening to a vegan podcast. Well, a podcast done by a vegan. We also want to give a shout out to Hanuman. Hanuman runs a blog called Chai and Sympathy, which is chaiandsympathy.blogspot.com. And we want to congratulate Hanuman on finally going vegan.
Yes, congratulations. And he's funny because in his post he mentioned about how he would really miss Cheetos. And there's always that one thing that people are like, I'm going to miss. And of course, people all recommended that he try Tings, which are really good. So you can always find substitutes for that thing that you think you're going to miss.
But Tings are one of those things where, you know, you can eat a few Tings and you're okay. And then you have this threshold somewhere between, like, I don't know, a few Tings and like 8 million Tings where you feel sick for the next 2 days after eating too many of them.
Yep.
But they're good.
Yes, they are.
They're really good. We also want to say hi to Vegan Mama out there. Vegan Mama runs a great blog at veganmama.com.
Yeah, and it's good for if any of those of you out there have kids. She writes about raising a vegan child, and it's really interesting points of view that she talks about.
Absolutely. So, and she's got all kinds of things there, recipes, ideas, and she's got a pretty good user group there that reads her stuff and actually, you know, add some good stuff to there. We also want to say one final thing to another listener who runs an animal shelter called Feral Friends. Dan Davis runs Feral Friends, which is an animal sanctuary for unwanted animals or wild domesticated cats that nobody will take. And Dan works out of Salt Lake, and we just wanted to say hi to Dan this week. And maybe Dan could give us some directions on how you get in touch with him if you want to donate money to Feral Friends.
Yeah, so it's a friend of a friend, and you wanted to give a shout out to.
That's right. So Dan, if you're listening, get in touch with us, and we maybe can send some people your way. So this week, we got a couple things coming up after the shout-outs. We're going to first talk about online vegan community and why we think it's helpful for vegans. Then we're going to talk about the PPK, the Post-Punk Kitchen. Yes. Then, of course, we'll have a musical interlude, punk, of course. And then after that, what are we going to do?
Then we're going to revisit our talk about spirituality. Because we approach veganism from a kind of more logical point of view, and some people differed with our opinion, and they told us so. So we're going to present a different point of view from one of our friends. Absolutely.
This friend of ours is a scholar of religious studies and folkloristics and takes a very spiritual approach to his own vegetarianism. So we asked him to come on the show, and we did an interview with him last night, and we're going to play some clips from that interview. And that should really cover the entire show. So that's where we're at.
Right. So we're going to start off talking about online vegan communities. And when we first became vegan, we knew, I think, one vegan in person. Our friend Dan, who really helped us see the light, I guess, and really answered a lot of our questions and helped us become vegan. But other than Dan, we really didn't know anybody in person. So we went online and we found a really wide community of vegans throughout the world that really helped us figure out what to do, how to become vegan, what, things we should look for, where to find things that are vegan.
Definitely. I found online vegan community particularly helpful because you can actually find people that have almost the same kinds of views that you do, or that will challenge you in ways that are very helpful for thinking about your own genesis towards veganism or towards animal liberation or towards animal rights even. So it was good for me to get on a couple forums and have that chance to interact with people in that way, to read blogs, to write a blog. it was a way of actually creating a vegan community that I don't have right here in person.
Exactly, and you sometimes can feel isolated if you're the only vegan that you know. And in lots of places in the country, that is the case, because if you're not in a big city and you don't know a lot of other vegans, you don't hang out with other vegans, then you kind of feel like you're the only freak that's around. So finding that other people around the world share your views is really enlightening, and it's really supportive and helpful.
And it's very powerful. It's very powerful to know you're not alone. Also, if you live in a place like where we live, where if you go into a diner and order a salad, it comes with gravy and butter on it, you really do need to get in touch with people who share your ideas and views, and it helps. It helps you remain sane.
It really does.
So some of the places that we found most useful, in no particular order, we found Vegan Forum to be a particularly good place, and you can find these things, just Google them, and we'll put links in on our main page to these as well. But Vegan Forum is a good place, seems to have a lot of international readers, and it's a fairly big forum, and we've actually gotten a lot of support there.
We just been starting to go on to Vegan Represent, which is another pretty big forum. Lots of international people, very supportive, very nice people online there. And the really interesting thing about Vegan Represent is that in order to get access to certain parts of the site, you have to post your vegan story. And the reason they do this is because they want other people to see, the different pathways of veganism, different ways that people become vegan.
Sure, everybody can learn a little something from everybody else's story, and I thought that was really cool. It's also a good way to keep out the hecklers. It's a really good way to keep out the people that come in and meat rules.
Exactly.
So it's good to have those people out of the way, definitively. One of the forums that I also like is the PPK forum.
Of course, we have to mention the PPK forum,
which is
segues into our our next part, because that was the first. Well, actually, this is the first forum I signed up for to talk about veganism, and the people there are awesome. It's just a really fun forum to talk about anything from kitchen utensils to sex toys to 6 feet under to Epi in the elevator. And
Epi does some really weird shit at work.
He's great fun. So.
Yeah, so the Post-Punk Kitchen Forum has been a lot of fun too, and a lot of weirdos there, but we like it because we're weirdos. Mm-hmm. We're definitely weirdos. But like Jenna said, that's a really good way for us to kind of segue into our next bit, which is to talk about the Post-Punk Kitchen in general.
Yeah. A lot of people we know are fans of the Food Network, and there are a lot of great cooking shows on there, but they're not very vegan friendly.
Oh, hell no.
So Isa Chandamoskowitz, who basically came up with the idea for the Post-Punk Kitchen, has her own vegan cooking show, and in the past it's only been available in New York City, but now they have a DVD, so you can watch the DVD and actually watch them. And we watched the one they were making vegan sushi, and it just made me so hungry. Yeah,
vegan and Terry, Isa and Terry making vegan sushi it's amazing, man. And the hosts are cool too. It's like these are people that are like you essentially. They aren't, I don't know, Rachel Ray or Alton Brown or any of these kinds of folks. These are folks that are like you and are into veganism for really good reasons. And well, everyone's into veganism for really good reasons, right?
No, of course.
But anyway. They're cool folks, and the nice thing is to see a cooking show for vegans on television.
Exactly, and the show is really cool because it's just very low-key and relaxed, and they don't expect you to have like 10,000 fancy things in your kitchen, and they really focus on things that you can do and that look great and that taste great, but aren't necessarily too complicated or expensive or anything like that.
And they make all the stuff right in Isa's kitchen, which is like a kitchen in a Brooklyn apartment, which is pretty small. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, watching someone make it on a submarine or something. It's like a tiny little kitchen. So that you get the idea that you can do these things yourself, which is really cool.
Exactly.
So what grew out of this show, though, is that you probably know by now, or maybe you don't know, Isa's coming out with a cookbook.
Yes, it's not going to be out until November, just in time for Christmas. But you can pre-order it on Amazon.com.
Mm-hmm. And we'll put a link underneath the show.
Yeah, so if you want to make sure you get it as soon as it's out, you put in a pre-order and it'll mail it to you when it comes out.
But what's the book called?
It's called Vegan with a Vengeance.
That's right. So Vegan with a Vengeance, and it is, I have to say, and of course I'm a somewhat biased party because we like Isa. She wrote the foreword for our book, and so maybe you shouldn't believe us, we're biased, but you should believe us because we know what we're talking about. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah, we know what we're talking. No, but Isa's cool. And what I like about the cookbook is the recipes in it are the kind of cooking that we like to do. You sometimes you pick up cookbooks and there's like one or two bum recipes in there you would never think about cooking. You look at it, it's like boiled cabbage with some beets or something. I don't know, some kind of really fucked up, nasty recipe that you would never think about making ever in your entire life.
Exactly.
But you go through Issa's book, which we were fortunate enough to have.
Yeah, we got a super secret advanced copy, so.
Yeah, so we went through this book and we could not find a single recipe that did not look incredibly amazing.
No, and in fact, we've already made stuff out of it. And last night we had a friend over, so I made banana split pudding brownies. And if they sound good, they're just amazing. The title alone is amazing, but the brownies themselves are amazing. And I like to bake, and I've made brownies in the past, and they've come out like but I made these, and they were so good. They were almost orgasmic. They were
indeed orgasmic. I mean, I'm actually not a huge chocolate and sweets fan, but these, man, I nearly melted in my chair. They were so good. And we're going to play a little clip for you of a friend of ours that was here who likened these brownies to sex.
Indeed.
So here that is very quickly.
I take the fork. I take a little brownie. I put it in my mouth. I take the fork. Take a little brownie. And I put it in my pants. I take the fork.
Okay, so he took a little brownie, he put it in his mouth, he took a little brownie. But anyway, this friend of ours is a little strange, but we love him. He's such a good guy. Right, so in honor of the Post-Punk Kitchen and in honor of Issa's book, which is going to come out in November, and which you should buy 2,000 copies of.
Yes, give them to all your friends, because that shows them that the vegans can cook really well and that we eat really well.
We do eat really well. People think veganism is like giving a whole bunch of shit up, but it's actually opening up a whole new world of things.
Indeed.
But anyway, in honor of the Post-Punk Kitchen and also in honor of Canet Cosmos, who recently told us he was into the hardcore scene, we're going to play a little Minor Threat here. I heard something about Minor Threat's logo being stolen by Nike or something. I don't really know what happened, but would it surprise you if some corporate jackass stole it?
Yeah.
But anyway, here's a little bit of Minor Threat in my eyes. Enjoy. Our dog loves punk music. The moment he hears anybody start screaming, he gets all excited, goes and grabs his toys, runs over, wants to play.
Makes Wookiee noises.
He makes... So yeah, that's a Minor Threat. That's kind of a long Minor Threat song at, 2 minutes and 49 seconds. That's like double most of their songs. Totally.
Yeah, most of them are around a minute. So.
Oh, there's a dog. And there's one of the rednecks driving by outside. So yeah, most Minor Threat songs are like a minute and a half or something, and that one's like 2 minutes and almost 50 seconds. So yeah, it's a great song, and we're definitely going to earn our parental advisory lyrics there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was dedicated to Ken and to Issa
and
Terry and all the post-punk weirdos over there on the forums. We dig you. You're a lot of fun. All right, so moving away from F words for a moment there. Moving away from punk, which our dog just loves punk. Every time we put punk on, he gets all excited. I want to revisit something I talked about last week, which is the whole question of spirituality. First, I want to apologize if I offended anyone. That really wasn't my intent. I didn't want to diss anybody. I didn't want to put anybody on the spot. I didn't want anybody to feel put out. And I don't want to say that anybody's reasons are not valid, you know?
Right. We just wanted to just say that we come from a little bit different place, and that the people should recognize there are a lot of different ways of coming to veganism.
Absolutely. And my own path to veganism hasn't been incredibly spiritual. It's just been a logical one for me. I mean, I feel like a Vulcan almost.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to sound like a Star Trek nerd, but for me, my path to veganism has not been one that has involved God or spirituality or any kind of deeper spiritual connection to the animals. But for a lot of people, it is that.
Yeah, and that's very powerful, and it's a very good way of gaining compassion is to come at through spirituality. So for a lot of people, that's what they need.
So in order to kind of provide a rejoinder to the things I was talking about last week, I invited Lane Little onto the show. Lane is a folklorist and a scholar of religious studies, particularly South Asian religious studies. And Lane is also a vegetarian. So we asked him to come on the show, maybe talk about some of the spiritual connections between his own vegetarianism and the way in which he sees the world and the way he fits within it. So this first clip actually talks about what Lane sees as an ecological dimension to his own vegetarianism, and he also talks about how part of that comes from a relationship that he has with the earth and with other beings. So we're going to roll that really quickly. Well, not really quickly, we're going to roll it, and as long as it takes, this is what it takes. And let you listen to that. So here it is.
I feel like the highest spiritual expression, and it's one that is found in every religious system. There's a place in every religious system where it touches this kind of eco-spiritual dimension. Mm-hmm. But that's not accessible to perhaps everyone. You know, some classical scholars talked about mythology in terms of there's the mythology of the city, there's the mythology, of the philosophers, and there's the mythology of the poets. And it's the mythology of the poets, or it's the spirituality of the poets that is this realm of that sense of being a part and an active participant in life, where all of, the immanence of a kind of a spiritual reality is experienced in the tangible expression made manifest in our relationship to everyday life and to each other. And the most important dimension of life that I try to emphasize and is that of relationship, this idea of relationship and our ability to choose the nature of that relationship and let it to be one of love and compassion and realizing that, but at the same time, going back to this issue of dogmatism, realizing that there are suffering beings all around us, like animals, and we try to not to cause injury or harm to them, but at the same time to also realize that we are animals as well. And if we open our heart eye, our inner eye of compassion, if we open our eye of compassion, the first suffering being that we encounter is our own selves, and we have to be merciful with our own selves in making the choices to have a lifestyle that we can actually manage.
Okay, so one of the things that really struck me about what Lane was talking about there was how we need to have the ability to choose a relationship of love and compassion. And I was also kind of drawn to the eco-spiritual dimension that he talks about. I thought that was really powerful.
Yeah, and it's a great way to find the compassion. I like the way you talk about in your heart, is to look in your own heart and find that compassion for other beings.
And in the next clip, he talks more about how compassion is at the heart of the matter and how the faculties of empathy are actually at the very roots of what he sees as human culture and society. So here's that clip too.
And you have to really listen to your own heart. That part of this whole thing about cultivating a vegan lifestyle or whatever, a vegetarian lifestyle, is cultivating that sensitivity to our faculties of empathy, to our own heart, and that itself is an abstraction, right? I mean, that itself is a mysticism. That itself is a theological conundrum to project and imbue the human heart. But we all do it because there is some spiritual dimension to all of us. Mm-hmm. It's regardless of whether we're scientific materialists, we have an emotional being that's somehow tied to these other dimensions of being.
And we need to pay attention to that.
And we need to pay attention to that because that's part of that. Why? Because that's an evolutionary tool. Mm-hmm. That's actually what's made us become human. I believe that, there have been physical anthropologists who have argued that it's not just, that leap from monkey to man begins when early hominids started taking care of each other and mending each other's bones, and that empathy. And when love came to a particular point of caring to each other, it created this evolutionary leap that led to language and all of this development. And so I believe that compassion is at the heart of what makes human beings need to be the caretakers of the earth.
That's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that compassion is at the heart of that it is itself the evolutionary leap that brings about language.
So there you have a quite different and much deeper idea of how spiritualism figures into vegetarianism from someone whose spiritual practice really informs the way that he views the world and his vegetarianism as well.
Yeah, and he comes from the perspective of a scholar of mostly South Asian religions and folklore. But there are a lot of other faiths out there that come to compassion and come to vegetarianism through different means. So if you have your own little story, your own perspective, let us know.
Yeah, we would love to hear it. If you want to record an audio comment, or if you would like to record a small segment for us for the show, we would certainly welcome that in any format pretty much that we can handle. We would love to have that on the show, and we would be happy to play it. Particularly because I feel like we slighted so many folks last week with the whole thing about spiritualism, and that wasn't really, or spirituality, that wasn't really our intent.
No, we weren't against spirituality. We're just saying we have a different perspective. That's
it just isn't our thing, So apologies for that if you were offended. And but anyway, we just got a lot of mail on it, and we're happy to have different perspectives on the show if people are happy to give them to us. So that's about it for this week. We really appreciate you listening yet again, and we want again to reiterate that if you have comments, please send them along. You can leave a comment right on the blog at podcast.veganfreak.com. You can send us an audio letter. Mm-hmm. Just record what you want to tell us, and we'll play it on the show. And that would be really cool because that way we can get some of the listeners into the show.
Exactly, make it a little more interactive.
And if it's not too long, we'll play the whole thing, or we'll excerpt bits out of it for you, with your permission, of course. And we're hoping to hear back from some of you.
Exactly.
So finally, we have one question for you. Where is the land of milk and honey for vegans?
Is it the land of soy milk and agave nectar?
Who the hell knows? Milk and honey, man. We can't have any of that.
Nope.
So I vote for the land of soy milk and agave nectar. So until next time, enjoy your days in the land of soy milk and agave nectar, and we'll see you in a week.
Bye.
Bye.
I take the fork, I take a little brownie, I put it in my mouth. I take the fork, take a little brownie, and I put it in my pan.
certain, and the end is always near. The ice age is coming, and I have no beer. Yo, mama, I'm a soft machine. That I'm a soft machine. I'm a soft machine.